You just take, for instance, on your LinkedIn, and then you see a job advert that came out 15 hours ago.
That's one.
You see a job advert that came out 15 hours ago, and you've seen that 100 people have
massive. Right, guys. So today we're going to talk about, what employers are looking out for, from people or candidates who are trying to get a job here in the UK. And to dive deep into that subject, I have an expert in the house, Mr. Ayomiko Adebaojo. He is the founder of TechSphere Hub, and he's also a data analyst working here in the UK. Through that platform, he has been able to, educate people who have interest in, transitioning into tech roles, and it's been a success so far. So I would like you to sit tight as we'll be talking about, the things to look out for when you're trying to secure a role, particularly here in the UK. So I'm going to be introducing Mr. Ayomiko to us. So Mr. Ayomiko, welcome to our channel.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, just to give the viewers an insight as to what you do, can you just quickly give us a little rundown, an introduction of yourself, what you do, and all of that? Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. It's good to be on this platform. My name is Ayomiko, and I'm a data analyst, a Power BI developer with Landmark Information Group. I didn't study anything science related, more of social sciences. I have my undergraduate degree in economics, and after studying economics, I then went to write the Chartered Accountancy of Nigeria. So I'm a Chartered Accountant in Nigeria, and I started my career as a financial analyst. But now, coming into UK, I did my MSc in finance and financial technology. So, but somewhere between the line, I then diverted to data analytics. So yeah, currently I'm working as a data analyst. In the future, I hope to be a finance data analyst. So that's the end goal for me. Yeah, so I think down the line when we are discussing, you'll get more information about that.
Thank you so much. Now, listening to you, you talked about how you transitioned yourself.
Yeah.
That must have been like a whole lot, a whole lot of experience in between that success.
Yeah.
So can you share with us, what it has really been for you, your experience, in the UK job market, particularly for, people who are, coming into the UK and not really knowing where to start from. A lot of advice here and there, a lot of things to put into consideration. And sometimes people can find themselves, in that world where they are really, confused as to what direction to take. So for you, what has it been like?
Okay, I think it's been quite interesting, and it was more of me following my passion.
Wow.
Rather than,
did you guys hear that passion?
Yeah, so no, more of me following my passion. So I had studied economics, dealt with a lot of numbers, but I had a passion for tech in a way. So I was looking for, as much as I was running away from coding and all those, but I just knew I loved tech.
Of course.
So I tried to find a way to merge tech with my love for numbers. So yeah, so that's one of the things that in fact, when I was going to do my MSc, because I also didn't like Python and coding, I didn't register for financial technology. I had registered for only finance. But coming into the UK, I met past students who had encouraged me to sign up for the financial technology course. That there wasn't anything deep in the coding aspect. So I processed the change of course when I had come in. So that was what I think that also helped my journey to transition into tech. So yeah, so during that, I think one of the things you have to be conscious of when you're trying to change your roles is, as much as you are trying to follow the trend of doing tech, you have to also ensure that you're following your passion. And the good thing is there are so many tech roles, low code roles. When I say low code, I mean you don't require much of coding and things that people are scared of. That is still a tech role. So there are so many roles that you can find that is very similar to something you like, that won't make you derail totally out of what you are currently doing or what you have studied or things like that. So you have to find something that is within your passion, and then you can even create a niche for yourself in the course of doing that. Yeah, so that's one of the things I would say is don't let go of your passion. Don't just follow the trend and say, because everybody's doing business analyst and that seems to be giving you skilled worker visa or things like that. That's why you're going to do the business analysis.
Yeah.
So, and it's another thing that would show when you're doing interviews, when they are talking about it, is a topic, and the passion you used to talk about it will be, if you have that passion for that area,
yeah,
will be different from someone that just stumbled into the role and you're just trying to catch up with what is going on in that field. So yeah, following your passion is one important thing. Then another thing is you have to upskill. You can't be dwelling on your past knowledge thinking that would help you in transitioning into tech. So it requires you upskilling. One way of doing that would be the educational means, getting an MSc in a tech field, maybe business analysis, data analysis. There are some master's degrees in data analysis and things like that. Or you could enroll in a bootcamp. We'll talk shortly of that. But yeah, you could also enroll in a bootcamp. For me, I told some people that I found bootcamp more engaging and worthwhile than doing an MSc. When I did my MSc in fintech, it was related to some data analysis courses, but for a bootcamp, it was more practical. We could deal with real life issues. So it felt more engaging for me for a bootcamp, and it's just for a short period of time, 6 months. So that really helped me to boost my transitioning into tech. So yes.
Sorry to come in. Thank you so much for that insight. Listening to you, I hear you mention that it's important for people to engage boot camps. I see a lot of people talk about, I did a certification online, self-learning and all of that. So from your own experience, what would you say, does it make a difference when I self-learn, compared to when I have the opportunity of joining a boot camp, and then maybe probably meeting other people and then being led by a tutor? What do you think?
Yeah, I feel there's a lot of difference in being self-taught, self-learning and enrolling in a boot camp. And the reason, people are different. Yeah. I would recognize that fact. But for me, the funny thing now is that currently I've enrolled in a self-learning for data engineering, and I yearn for a boot camp because it's not the same. It just feels like you read some things or they take you through some slides and you're like, what did you do here? And you don't understand that place well, and you feel like asking questions, but there's nobody to ask that question. So but if you're in a boot camp, you're interacting with a physical person. It could be online boot camp, so you'll be interacting, you could ask questions and give some scenarios maybe you've even encountered before, where you can then go through those scenarios. So bootcamp is definitely going to be much better in my own case than going through a self-learning course, that's to get that certification. And another thing is, if you do go through the self-learning process and you're even able to do the certification, maybe a professional certification with it, excuse me, there's still a difference when you go for an interview for that thing and they're asking you questions on, give me a past experience where you dealt with such scenario. You might not really be able to say anything because you've not had the practical experience. But if you're in a boot camp, you would have dealt with so many case studies where you can always, even if you've not done it in an organization setting, but you can always use that example when you were dealing with a particular case study and the kind of difficulty you went through, and now you're able to overcome such difficulty, and then the end result of the case study you did.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that really insightful session. So the next question I have is for international candidates, what do you think, coming from somebody who has a lot of experience, in this regard, what do you think are the major, challenges you would have compared to a candidate resident here in the UK, in trying to secure a job?
Okay, so I think the first thing is you have to realize that the job market is fierce and it's not for the faint-hearted. So
it's not like somebody is being witch-hunted.
Exactly.
It is actually fierce.
Yeah, you can imagine, just take for instance, you're on LinkedIn and then you see a job advert that came out 15 hours ago.
That's one.
You see a job advert that came out 15 hours ago and then you've seen that 100 people have
massive.
So you can imagine the volume of people in the market. And it's not just LinkedIn, they've posted that.
Exactly.
It's on Indeed, it's on other jobs.
CV jobs, total jobs.
So you can imagine the number of people that are in the market. So you can't assume that you can't just be thinking they're reaching you when you see the volume of people that are applying. So the first thing you have to take into consideration is, as an international student, there's some sort of disadvantage already because especially if you now need a visa, they would rather, because they would have to spend more money on you to employ you, they would have to pay for your visa and pay some other fees. So,
very true.
So that's a disadvantage. If they see someone who is a citizen, let's just say citizen of the country, that they wouldn't have to pay that extra money and probably even have more experience than you do, or you can bring more to the table, they will better go with such person. So if you are coming with your CV or you're coming for a role, you have to show that you can do better. You have more to offer them, and they'll be at a loss if they don't employ you. So that's what you have to be gunning for. And there's one thing myself and my classmates in school during my MSc would say: the most important thing is putting your leg in the door. Getting that foot forward, having that, just entering that market first,
in the first place,
and then get experiences and find ways to move around if you wish to. So have it at the back of your mind that you are sort of in a disadvantage being an international student. Then how do you now address that? That's where you now have to go the extra mile. Not just if you've studied an MSc, for instance, you have to add something to it that will make you stand out from the crowd. So say for instance, these days now, even data analysis is going beyond data analysis. They want people that have the knowledge of data warehousing and things like that. And not naturally, data warehousing would be the job of a data engineer. So you have to go that extra mile to add something to that role. I'm a data analyst, yes, but how do I improve myself? You have to go an extra mile in upskilling yourself in that field, learn some things about data engineering, could learn some things about data science, data mining and things like that. So just to add to your knowledge and keep upskilling and enhancing yourself, so that when the job comes, you can present all you've learned and also the experience, and then present it to the employers.
Wow, thank you so much. So from what I understand, it's also important that if you have the opportunity to go hands-on, it might be a better option for you compared to a session or some form of training that doesn't give you the opportunity to try your hands, because that's what is going to probably make you stand out, when you finally get that opportunity to be able to show yourself, for a particular role with employers. And like he mentioned outrightly, there are a lot of people coming out of the university, there are a lot of people applying for the same job you are applying for, and you actually want something that will make you, put your, like he rightly said, put your foot at the door. And one of the ways you can go about that is by upskilling, irrespective of the particular job role or the field you're trying to venture in. Thank you so much for that. So the next question I would have is, do you actually think, like some people would say, you don't have UK experience, I don't have UK experience, and then they begin to feel like that can be a disadvantage to them, so do you think holistically that if you don't have a UK background, the chances of you getting a job are quite slim? What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I would say, so most employers would prefer UK experience. Because their system of doing things is quite different. But nevertheless, I don't think that should discourage people from applying. Like I said, you just have to try and prove yourself, that you know more about these things, the field you're going into. Experience really matters a lot. So even if it's not a UK experience, if you've had a previous experience, the major thing is, if you're in an interview, how do you portray the experience? How do you package the experience such that the interviewer would know that, oh, this guy knows what he's saying, or this person knows what he's saying, and prefer you over other candidates. So I think it shouldn't make you discouraged that, oh, they are looking for UK experience. If they write they are looking for UK experience, still apply. There's one thing I've also learned in the whole
I love that. Still apply.
Application process. You don't back down easily, and don't shy away from the fact that there's a requirement there that I do not meet. I think it's better to apply. People will say, what's the worst that could happen? You get a rejection email and then you move on. Because you don't know when an employer might just feel, or maybe they just feel, oh, you tick most of the boxes, and all others that have applied don't even have up to what you have. So they would rather go for you. Let's even hear him out.
Yeah.
And that would be an opportunity for you to sell yourself to the interviewers, and most likely just get that job. And then they would even now train you in the role that they feel you're lacking. So I don't think you should be discouraged by the fact that you don't have UK experience. Yes, it could be a deterrent. They could take people that have UK experience over someone that doesn't have a UK experience. But these are other ways too, because there are even some boot camps that would give you an internship opportunity that are also maybe even registered in UK. So you could use such companies also for your CV to say you've had that internship experience in the United Kingdom, and because they are training you also to the standard of United Kingdom, so you could use them as put it on your CV that you've had that experience, which would also give you an edge. There's another thing I've noticed about employers in UK. They always want to see that you have the zeal to upskill yourself. You don't just sit down there and have the lackadaisical attitude. That you are growing. You finished your studies. You enrolled in this skill. You try to it might not even be relating to your field, and you just wanted to add more knowledge to yourself. They always look out for that also.
Wow, thank you so much. So guys, if you see a particular role that you think you qualify for, don't let it be a challenge that you do not have a UK experience. Just go ahead and put out your CV. Now that brings us to the next topic about CVs. Looking at your experience, I'm sure you've I've seen a lot of people who want to get jobs and all of that. What do you think people do wrongly when it comes to presenting CV? Because CV is like your face card. That's like the first entry point for you with the employer. And if we don't get it right at that first opportunity, chances are that you might not even get called for the interview. So what do you see people doing wrongly that you feel we can do differently to increase our chances?
Okay, first thing, don't put coming from Nigeria, you see people putting their sex, male, female. You
hear that? So it's not important, your gender.
Full address and
full address, not important as well.
You don't need all that. You need just the city you're staying and the country you're staying is enough. Your contact address, your phone number, your email. If you have a LinkedIn profile, you can put in your LinkedIn profile. If you have a portfolio that you can put in a link to your portfolio. Those are the things that can help the interviewer to know more about you. Exactly. If they want to drill down, who is this person really? So then when you are done with that, you put a professional summary. Just about one paragraph about yourself in brief, about your career journey. And then when you're done with that, you can then start with talking about your technical abilities, technical skills, some of the tools you use. Then after that, the thing that should also come next should be your experience before you bring your educational history or certification. So your experience is key to them. That's really what they want to see. So, and in your experience, you don't need about 10 points, and try to streamline it to 3 to 5 points. 5 is not getting too long. And your points, when you're talking about your points, you should be talking about what you've done using the STAR technique. What you've done, what was the outcome, what was the challenge, what was the outcome, and then if there were any recommendations after you got the outcome. You also put those recommendations. So that's what will make up a winning CV. You have to talk about issues you've treated in
exactly,
and then how you solved those problems, and what was the impact of the outputs to an organization, to the organization you work for. So I think that's what I want to say in your CV. Then after that, you can then have your educational history, and then if you have some certifications, you can then put your certifications on that.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I see sometimes people just do bullet points, and these bullet points appear, so generic, so flat. You see people say, I've been applying for jobs, I've been putting out CV, and I'm not getting any calls back. And then when you ask to help, review the CV. You then begin to see the mistakes they make. Some of them just put bullet points. I increase the ROI. Just that, and no story behind the bullet points. Of course, we don't expect you to write, like somebody long tails and all of that. But then again, you want to, like he rightly mentioned, use a guide like the STAR approach, to put the challenge there. You put the actions you took, the outcomes. That makes your CV more, more bulky. That gives a lot of bulk. It makes you stand out compared to somebody who just goes generic, and says, I increase ROI by 20%. So there's a huge difference, when...
And then with the help of AI now...
Of course,
you have to be very careful in using AI tools. You don't just say, tailor my CV to this job description. Another thing is, of course, you have to always tailor your CV to the job description you're saying. Because what one company A needs might be different
from what company B
needs.
Exactly.
So you have to tailor your CV. But in that process, you have to feed the AI tool with an experience, a real life experience that you already have.
Wow.
And then you can then tell the AI tool that, okay, using STAR technique, can you put this in bullet points, these experiences in bullet points. So whatever AI tool you're using could shorten the long story you've given the AI tool and then just make it as a maybe 2-line sentence or 3-line sentence, as the case may be, and then you can put that in your CV. But you just have to make sure that you are giving a real life experience to AI that it can work with, and not just something random.
Exactly, and that will make you, stand out when your CV goes through the applicant tracking, system. These days we all use AI tools, and if there's nothing differentiating you from me, it becomes difficult for the employers. And at the end of the day, they're going to pick in, people who tell more stories, whose stories resound, to them, whose stories make more sense, even to them. Another thing I also want to mention, based on my own personal experience, I remember just recently we were, hiring for a particular role, and of course, the industry where I work is different from the candidate's CV. He's very qualified, because I had the opportunity of seeing the CV that came in through the back end, and going through these CVs, I saw a lot of qualified people, of course, and then people who didn't seem to be qualified for the particular role, but then again were bold enough to apply. So when I looked through some of these CVs that came in, I saw that word for word what the skill set required for that particular role. Some persons had it, but then again this person was coming from the banking industry, and was not able to capture all of these skill sets he had to suit the industry he was applying for, and he was not taken.
So
he had everything, Azure, Mirador, everything that we needed for that particular role. But then again, he was not able, he didn't sit down, to arrange this CV, fine tune it to the industry he was actually applying for. And that's how, he didn't even get called, for the interview session. So it's important that when one is putting out CVs, you study the industry. Of course, I know it can be time consuming, but then again, like I would say, when you're in the process of job hunting, it feels like a full-time job, and you want to do it correctly. It's a full-time job. You need to put in the time to ensure that the CV you're putting out there matches the industry, would make sense to whoever is picking your CV in that particular industry. And it helps, when you're able to get them to see, how relevant your skill set is to the particular role you're trying to apply for. So thank you so much, Mr. Ayomiko. The next question on my mind is, what inspired you to start your boot camp, that has led you to training a lot of people so far?
Okay, so like I said, I had enrolled for a boot camp towards the end of my MSc and in data analytics, and it took about 6 months. It was quite, of course, it was really nice. It was educative, and I got a lot of experience from it. One thing I realized was they didn't really have my time. They didn't have our time a lot, especially during our project phase. So it was more like they just left us.
So going for an MSc program, enrolling for an MSc program might not necessarily be the end point. One has to make deliberate effort to get
deliberate effort to also, as much as possible, get hands-on experience. Practical experience. Because the MSc was more of theory, so that made me also enroll for that boot camp at that time. So and then it was a weekend class, Saturday and Sunday. We had the opportunity to ask questions, especially during the training phase. But when it came to the project phase, we were more or less just left alone. we're trying to get attention, but we're not giving that attention as much. So that didn't sit well with me. And so myself and my partner in the business, we thought of it that it would be nice if we could also start our own bootcamp. Of course, this was after some years of experience, after the bootcamp and working in a professional setting.
Yeah.
It would be nice to pass along that knowledge, and not just passing along the knowledge now, but actually guiding them through the process.
Exactly.
And being with them throughout
Exactly.
the process. Helping with preparing for interviews, fine-tuning CVs, more or less being like mentors to the students. So that was what birthed Text Fair Hub, and we've started the business about almost a year now.
Yeah.
We've done about 4 different cohorts.
Wow.
We had a particular cohort that was a fully sponsored cohort, so the student didn't have to pay for anything.
Wow.
And at that particular cohort are currently doing very well, because I know of a particular student who has, apart from even just learning data analytics now, is zeal and is started yearning for some other tech courses, and then he has moved to data engineering and learning AI.
Wow, amazing.
Adding all those knowledge into what we started with.
Wow.
Getting that foundation. So this is something this is what we wanted to have, and we're happy that we're able to get such experience. The students have that experience. So that was what motivated us to start Text Fair Hub, and now we are looking at going out into other courses, not just data analytics.
Yeah.
Having digital marketing. Actually, my partner is a marketing data analyst.
Yeah.
So his niche is in digital marketing. So we're looking at going into digital marketing, going into business analytics, as the case may be, and some other tech courses, low-code tech courses that people can do. And also we're also looking at going into consulting for firms, trying to, for some firms that really want this data analytics, because it's more or less like it's relatively new.
Okay.
Especially in Nigeria now, there are some companies that are just starting to see the need for data analysts, and are trying to employ data analysts in their company. So if we can reach these companies to let them know that, or we're actually now reaching out to these companies to let them know that, we can take that burden of analyzing their data.
Okay.
And of course for some fee, and rather than employing, and then we use the students we've trained.
Wow.
More like an internship role
Wow,
for them, so
yeah.
that they can get their hands dirty on some real life data. So, and there are some things in the pipeline where we are going to partner with some company, probably an energy firm, where they can enroll some of our students. We'll recommend some of our students to them that they can do internship with them for a period of time, and then so it's not just finishing the bootcamp.
Yes, and then having nothing else to follow.
Nothing else to follow. So they have that experience, in a real organization setting.
Wow, really lovely. That is what also makes it quite unique for Text Fair Hub. Majority of the times you see that people run boot camps, and you want to make your inquiries. You don't just enroll for bootcamp just because you see there's a bootcamp. You really want to know how they deliver their trainings, this kind of support they give to their students, and one of the things about Text Fair Hub is that they walk you through, they hold your hands, even when you get a job, they are there by your side to help you stand firm, understand, the nuances and all of that comes with getting a new role, and they will ensure that you are well grounded and ready for that particular role and deliver on your job expectations. So it's important that we get the right kind of information and the right kind of support when we do need that. I've seen majority of persons go to boot camps, and then the boot camps, nobody, they just share them in groups, and then they give them a project, without really guiding them on how to go about this project. And funny thing is sometimes people are quite busy, they're not even able to pursue this project, and at the end of the day, all you leave, with working out of that boot camp are theories, without real practicals, so but that's what makes Text Fair Hub quite different, because at the end of the day, they are there to support you, they're there to give you quite a number of projects and ensure that you follow through with this project, you do this project, and you get the right results you want. And even in terms of building your CVs, putting yourself out there, the encouragement and support you need to be able to make yourself visible on LinkedIn, and building the right networks with people. I feel like most times people come on your inbox and then they just send you message, do you have a role, do you have that, and all of that. It doesn't really work out that way. Sometimes it's better to show and tell what you actually do. You know, so if you have the time to go through a boot camp, it can also take, you know, a little time, but then again it's beneficial if you can make yourself more visible, you know, where this job what was the right word now, where these employers really are. And you can find a lot of them on LinkedIn, but then again, without something to really show that you can deliver that job, you know, it becomes just a story. You know, and with TechSpec Hub, they give you projects that you can, you know, display on your LinkedIn, such that when recruiters go on to check for you, they're able to see at a glance what you've done successfully, you know, in the past, and that makes you stand out, you know, compared to somebody who just says I can do this, I can do that, you know, without really showing what he or she can actually do. Thank you so much, Mr. Ayomiko, and it's a pleasure having you, and I hope that we've been able to learn one or two things, you know, from this session. Feel free to ask your questions. We can also reach out to TechSpec Hub. I'll be leaving the website in the description, and yeah, you can go there, click on the buttons, you'll be able to see the range of courses they do, how they run these courses, you know, and how you can also benefit, you know, from them. I'm happy to address any of your questions if you have follow-up questions for us, you know, and we're here to support you and ensure that you are able to achieve your dreams. Now, this doesn't just stop with tech. There are other things that you might want to venture into, and if you have questions regarding that, please feel free to put your questions in the chat, and I will address, you know, those questions as I go along. I can create videos to answer some of your questions. I want to be bringing more resource persons to address, you know, some of these issues. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
And see you in our next video. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.